Ocmaya, the Global Paradigm Expansion Project. Overview of the platform. So if you've seen the other videos, you find it interesting that you want to be part of a global positive change, if you want to create noble outputs, noble measurements, noble methodologies, noble methods, and how you do business in terms of how you engage in political activities and how you are more active in politics and so on. And are interested in seeing, how can I use the platform? How would the usability look like? And the platform doesn't exist. Right? So this is the first point. That's why we have the crowdfunding. But there is a mock-up already of how the platform could exist in its more minimalistic form. So I don't have a very simplified plan where there is an optimal amount of investment that will lead to the optimal platform. It's actually that the higher the investment, then the higher the possibilities of improving the platform, and obviously the higher the possibilities of people reaching the platform. So how it would look like, this is, again, the most simplified version. It's just landing page that would be easy to use. So usability and user friendliness and being able to understand complex topics in simple English and in simple visuals to explain this complexities are a big part of this project. So the usability is simple as seen here, because you will have the 3 points as have been explained in the example part of the Ocmaya videos. The first one is educate, to understand how we perceive the world and how this has been able to conquer the world in a sense, so that all people, I would say more than 99% of the people, have these views of how the world works. Look at limitations. So what are the limitations of these views and how these limitations generate dramatic efficiencies directly or indirectly? And enable, which just means that you have the tools to generate noble paths, create your own methods to solve problems in new ways that you didn't know before, and to just leverage, to just use also as an inspiration in your everyday life. So what Ocmaya is, obviously it's an educational platform, but behind it, it should be a space, first and foremost, where people, where human beings can go and be inspired, and where they can go and challenge their points of view, and what I call, I didn't invent this, but I took this from different philosophers, is to be able to stop and think. So to just revisit the problems that we have with as less preconceptions as possible, and with as most at the best possible understanding of our complex world, and tackle the problems as if you were the first to actually tackle that specific problem. So to bring time to be able to increase your possible outputs and decrease the inefficiencies that we have from our legacy way of thinking. So again, it's not set there is no page, but this is just a mock-up of how it could look like with a very simplified investment. And you would click on educate, empower, or enable. And then, for example, in educate, you would have here the possibility to click to see other exhibit pieces or exhibition pieces. And by clicking on any of these, you will be able to access the videos, PDFs, and murals. So the PDFs would just be like small informational one-pagers that describe main points, right? Summarized main points. The videos would essentially go more into detail of what is it that is the goal, and how has this any basis in history, and how this has then formed as a very important idea in our world that we take for granted. And murals, they are one-pagers, but bigger one-pagers that show the complexities of our world in terms of these topics. Now, one thing that's very important is that these are not models, but so these are more ideas that have influenced our model. I mean, the internal economies of scale, it's more of a model, right? So it's not to say that there will never ever be any model, but the main point of Ocmaya is to focus on ideas that have very much shaped how we see our reality. And these will, again, be mostly based on the existing ways that we look at the world. So how we think about power, how we think about production and efficiency and financial efficiency, and so on and so forth. By empower all, again, is the inefficiencies and the limits. So we have limits to rationality. Like we have these ideas of human being rational, but this creates some kind of limitations. And what are these limitations? And we have some ideas of power, and what are the limitations of such, and some ideas of politics, what are the limitations of that, specifically using such things as behavioral economics, for example, the limits of division of labor, so how here even Adam Smith is not being applied correctly in our world, and so on and so forth, right? So these are just sets of ideas that have or bring a quite interesting new way or novel way of looking at our world, and obviously then enabling creativity is just understanding this contemporary sciences and how they can be used in management. For example, experience economies of scale. This is actually based on a book from Pine and Gilmore. Fractal dimensions, as I explained in Who Is This For business leaders, fractal dimensions can or have the potential of revolutionizing everything from structures to processes to strategies, customer relationship management. So looking at the world not like a smooth, predictable view, but a rough, turbulent kind of complex world, then this opens up a lot of different possibilities. And human-centeredness, like this is one of the main keys of agile methodology and design thinking, for example. But what does this even mean? Right? What does this mean for management in general? not only for the way we use agile or design thinking, but what does this mean in general for how we choose the decisions that we make in organization. And power and violence, like why do we keep engaging in wars, for example? Just a view of Hannah Arendt and an implementation of that will enable us to create better policies, for example, against propaganda and so forth. And it is very possible, and it is something that, given the appropriate amount of funding, to create some kind of community. Right? So this here, I don't have the community view as of today, but depending on the amount of support, there could be community support so that their community can generate novel outputs that would also be available for everyone. And there could be obviously some novel ways of looking at the world that would need to be peer reviewed in a sense, and this is something that's very, very time intensive. So that's why here we don't have a community as such, but is intended in the long run. And furthermore, I want to say that the first iteration of Ocmaya will have 22 of these little squares, which is already quite a lot, but the intention is to have at least 90. So it's a very big project, and 90 is the goal to have the first complete educational platform in the next years. And just the main topic that I want to convey is, well, this should be user-friendly, and it should provide us with a more accurate description of our world so that we can enable creativity across the world, increase participation, bring literacy of contemporary science to most of the world, and not provide any prescriptive path. Ocmaya has therefore 3 unique value propositions. The first is to increase participation into the methods, methodologies, and the way that we want to increase the efficiency of our world, specifically from the bottom up. So this essentially means that to create a framework, create a novel metric, or to create some kind of novel way of doing business must not come from people that have access to very good information and who have the power to change this, and let's just say access to the law, if you will. So if we want to change the way that people do business, this is reserved only for a very few. So this is very important, that it should be from the bottom up. The second is typically contemporary scientific bases are not included into, let's say, our daily life, or into generally the way we look at the world, and into any of the management, politics, and economic principles that we have around the world. And whether we are aware of them or not, we still use them around the world. This is one of the main issues in educating in Ocmaya, that shows how we actually all have the same kind of scientific base. whether we want to acknowledge it or not. So Ocmaya actually introduces this. So first of all, it describes contemporary scientific basis in a relatively accessible manner. Not to say that this will make expert scientists of everyone. I am not saying that this is the case. This will just make an increase in literacy, in understanding what they mean, okay? Or an understanding what they mean enough so that they can be applied. And the last part is to increase collective power. So as you have more choices, as you have more knowledge, as you have a better ability to go to your local economist or your boss or your local politician and have a conversation about this contemporary science basis and about the inefficiencies that we are generating, and as more people have the ability to actually act upon this, then there is the higher possibilities that we can have a substantial impact. So this has the possibility of increasing our knowledge, our base of people who participate, our amount of novel, more accurate methodologies, methods, etc., and thus increase our efficiency. So I urge you to find out more in the example video and the resources available if you haven't done so. And just if you want to support, start talking about it, start looking at some of the resources that we have, and hopefully eventually also then support with a small obolus. So, thank you for your attention. Goodbye.